Welcome back to the next episode of Brotein Bar, where we get bite-sized gains for anything bodybuilding and fitness. So today we have Jordan with us to talk about slightly older age in bodybuilding. So we also know bodybuilding, you have this golden age where you typically start 18, roughly, not backed by research. Then you go into it for a good few 5-6 years, 24, 25, then you will go to turn pro, then you will be at the peak of your career around 30 years old, right? For people like us who started later,
feeling our age.
We need to, right? We kind of need to justify the topic, right? If not,
I know, but still.
yeah, when we are like much later into 30s already, then
That's why I grew a beard.
we, in that sense, how does this impact our journey in bodybuilding? What is the realistic journey forward, expectation, and all that? We would like to look into that now, because what we see has always been the good side of it, right? Where you see all the young, all the energetic, all the one that's looking all big and all, but much less talked about is the one that is going into the master category, or the one the second part of the bodybuilding now, because it doesn't stop there, right? It's not like until 30 part you just lie there, oh, retired. No, you continue, because this is part of your lifestyle already. You will continue to go on to it really. But in that sense, like for you, for example, how do you see, or where do you see yourself moving forward with this?
Well, first off, I mean, like, as you already stated, actually bodybuilding you can start bodybuilding at any age. Okay, not any age, but you can start anytime after 14, 15. You can do like workouts and all that to gain some, muscles and strength, but you're not going fully into competitive bodybuilding. But then again, also with the current time and trend, a lot of young, especially Westerners, are going into competitive bodybuilding at such a young age, which is alarming to me. So, I started my own journey at 15. To be honest, it's mainly to lose weight, because I wanted chicks to like me.
I started way later, actually. I only started to do something when it was 24.
You're new.
Oh God. Okay. Never mind.
So just a little bit. So it's like I started at age 15 mainly just to lose weight because I wanted chicks to like me. I was really obese. I was fat. I was at 5'6" at 99 kilograms. Yeah, that's just really hefty for a young teenager growing up, right? So, and then of course I dive into other martial arts as we spoke about earlier on, and then I went to powerlifting, I went to martial arts, then back to bodybuilding, blah blah blah.
But at that point, it wasn't so prevalent, right? You don't get so many gyms and accessibility to all that.
Yeah. So back then in the early 2000s, it was really. It was really limited where I could train. It was only those few gyms that actually had heavy weights. They had like the environment that you're looking for when it comes to lifting heavy and training hardcore and grinding, right? So like I went through that all the way up to, even from then all the way up to now. Thank God I'm sticking to bodybuilding, is because reason being because I could, as you stated earlier, nobody really talks about like bodybuilding at the later age, even towards the age where people compete as masters in the masters category.
They recently changed the master category from 40-year-old to 35.
I know, that's absolutely ridiculous. Dude, dude, I'm not that old. Thank you. I'm not that old. Like, what the hell, right? I'm just like, not that old.
Just announced it last year.
Yeah. From which age? What, 40, 45? Until like they switched it?
No, 40. It was 40, then it became 35.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. What's the next, 30? I don't know. But anyway, I hope not. But yeah, so the thing is, bodybuilding can be done throughout your life. And then after competition, you could still continue because it's part of your, your lifestyle is part of you and your identity, who you are.
But I guess there is a level of stigma where people think when you are older, you actually get less performance, your testosterone also lower and all that, so you don't recover as as well.
Well, there's definitely some truth to that. I wouldn't say that would be that was all true. There's some truth to that because as you age, of course, you still have to deal with the fact that
Biologically,
yes,
yeah,
because
okay.
you still have to deal with some form of muscle deterioration. Even though the whole point of us doing bodybuilding is to slow down, is to combat that. So of course, we would be a lot better compared to if you stuck to us bodybuilding or like fitness training, lifting weights, mainly focus on strength training as you age, especially after 30. You would definitely combat the muscle deterioration a lot better compared to the folks that doesn't. So it's highly recommended that you do. However, even like for competitors like bodybuilding athletes, after you've you hung your trunks up, in that sense. I mean, yes, you hung your posing trunks up and you're no longer competing. So what's next? So what's next usually for most of the professional competitors and a lot of non-professional ones, but they are still like really passionate into the sport and it's part of their life and they are part of their identity. They still continue to train, but the intensity doesn't need to be so crazy. You can probably go back to like,
and they are probably not aiming to compete.
They're no longer, because you want to give your body a break and you want to relax and you want to just focus on something else. Priority change, especially as you go to a later stage in life, right? So you just work out maybe 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and just to maintain.
Probably also partly because you're on a different phase in life as well. Like when you are at 30 plus. People tend to already get married.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they want to focus on family. Yeah. So like for me as a competitor I'll tell my age at 35, going 36 this year, as this is recording. So like going forward, I personally, because I just started my competitive bodybuilding journey, I would like to personally. I like to compete until I'm like 46 or 47 before I'll hang up my posing trunks and go to a more chilled lifestyle, back off, and then just focus on coaching others and maybe be like my own coach, building up a team, like inspire and continue to inspire others to go, to at least adopt a fit and healthy lifestyle, right? Not necessarily competition. So that would be usually how, for bodybuilding athletes, that would usually be how it looks like if you're coaching. But if you're not coaching, well, you just, continue to go to the gym, inspire others through your life story, and continue working out. But you do reduce the intensity because you just want to maintain, you just want to continue to be strong, look good. And yeah, you just progress and you age as you age.
Do you feel at this particular age that you do have...
It looks like whiskey to you. It's not whiskey.
That was the intention?
Macam yes, tapi bukan. Exactly.
Yeah. So do you feel that at this particular age, you tend to have a little bit more commitment, a lot of other priorities that you have to juggle? How do you actually work through those while pursuing bodybuilding?
Yeah, so it does help that I became part of the shareholders of a gym with my coach and another fellow coach who is also my business partner now. So it does help that we have a home gym. But of course, even like with that, I still have to juggle through a lot of other responsibilities. Like I bought a house, so now I have to pay for the bank loan, and then like other responsibilities and other commitments. You got to,
like a bunch of cats.
Yeah, and then I do have a bunch of cats too. It's like 6 of them. Anyway, cat daddy. So
you're going to become a meme.
I know it's going to become meow anyway. So yeah. I mean, like juggling other responsibilities, being a husband, to my wife, and trying to juggle that married lifestyle and then with 4 kids. Yeah.
And there's some level of discipline to maneuver.
Yeah. It's still about prioritizing what you really what matters, what you really want. And of course, my priority is my clients, is my job, and also running the gym. And then after that is everything else. And then my time at the gym, I still, will slot in. Like I'll put a 2-hour slot for my workout.
That you have to
things I
get done.
get done for my bodybuilding journey.
I mean, for my end, as a full-time marketer, we don't have fitness as the main job. It's also similar, I guess. We do have a time that you have to lock in for the things that you have to do. Then you personally have to then decide that I want to put in this amount of time to pursue this. It's all very conscious decision of what you are prioritizing in that sense, and then stick to it. Right, the whole consistency is the one.
So I mean, like one tip I could give, like to some of you that are listening, is that in order to stay consistent after prioritizing what you really want in life and what your goals are, you put it into schedule, because especially when you get older, you have a lot of things going on. So it's very important to actually put it into schedule.
Even if you are not older, so you need to take this.
So put it into schedule so that you lock that hour in, you lock that time slot in, that no matter what, you try to stick to that as much as possible. Unless you need to switch, like, your job requires you to meet clients. Sometimes it's kind of draggy. Sometimes, it's the hours are shifted.
I guess once you find a flow that works for you already, you kind of have a certain level of predictability. Then you will be able to maneuver through this more better. I guess even for anyone who is interested in embarking on this also, they will be able to. I think it's beyond bodybuilding also lah. So once you actually have something, you set your eyes on certain objective and goals you want to work towards, you come up with an action plan that will work for you consistently. That will be the key.
I mean, it's no longer like, like when we're in college in our early 20s, we don't really have, the only responsibilities that we have is just to get assignments done on time, so that then other than that, we don't have anything else going on. So
you don't worry about bills.
And then like you have classes during this certain period, and then sometimes you have a huge gap in between, and
it's more flexible,
super flexible, super carefree. I miss those days, but anyway,
I don't miss the group assignments.
I don't miss the group assignments. I hate that, but I do miss the carefree days. But then again, adulting comes and hits. It's just about managing your expectations, and also managing your time in your life as well, and knowing what is how to prioritize what is important and what you want. And
but one thing I like about bodybuilding in this particular age is that you are also in a better financial position.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In order to have choices.
I mean, like, competition, like the fees just to compete is not cheap. The registration fee is really not cheap. It's like I mean, like in USD is hundreds. Like over here in Malaysia, it's like what, 1,000
because of a currency.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's like 1,000 ringgit. I'm like, dude, what the heck? Just to compete?
When you are younger, it probably is a problem, lah, right? Trying to get into it.
I mean, I was broke as a kid, man. I mean, like, I wasn't working. I had a monthly allowance of like 500 ringgit. I mean, that's so little, but then again, that's what my mom allocated for me each month. So I just got to accept it, and then like, not only that, the tanning cost is a separate fee. It's not included in the registration fee. And then after that, all the supplementations and the stuff that you got to take, and meal prep.
Time, at least you can choose like a certain meal prep that delivers to your home.
Exactly.
At least you have the choice because you are more financially able to do that also.
Yeah, exactly.
Then probably in that sense, you'll be able to look at it in a whole more holistic manner also. Then I guess in a certain extent also, you are also more emotionally stable.
Oh yeah.
And you're more mature in that sense, where you know what you're doing, you know what you want.
Especially when you're married, you don't have to deal with childish breakups.
you don't get into fights though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily a time saver, but yeah.
You trade one poison for the other.
Yeah. Much of a lesser evil, lah, I guess. Yeah. So I guess it's not a do or die thing when when you get to start early, you try to, when you start bodybuilding earlier on, you can start to find ways to make it work for you. But even if you start a little bit later also, you are also in a much better position to maximize what you're doing. So yeah, I tend to feel like I'm trying to reclaim lost time for starting late. But I'm sure I'm in a much more able position to do this right.
Well, you got the luxury of eating chicken clean every day.
Yeah,
that
not sponsored.
Yeah, get not sponsored. So chicken clean. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, if we were to try to do this in our earlier, like in our younger days, and when we are like studying and all, the only thing that we could probably afford is just the gym membership fee. But when it comes to dieting and all, and
Probably didn't do that very on point as well.
exactly, yeah. I remember I used to eat like 30 eggs a day just to hit my mark.
So that's one freaking tray.
Yeah. I know, it's disgusting. I also had tuna in a can.
That will go into another episode.
Yeah.
Definitely, the diet horror stories we're definitely going to do into another episode.
Like, check it.
So even if for you guys who started older, don't see it as like a death sentence. You still be able to make a lot more headway. Like me trying to compete the first time, like in the middle of 30s, I think we will still be able to achieve what you need to achieve, as long as you are clear with what you want at the end, and also have an action plan that is sustainable for you in the long term. Okay, so thank you, Jordan, for this particular episode.
Thanks for having me.
We will have much more interesting topics coming up. Hopefully, you all can let us know what you want to hear about, especially in the Malaysian context, in the comments below. Then we will be able to look into getting the right host, getting the right guests in order to answer your question as well. So stay tuned to the next episode, guys. Peace.